on in the Middle East, much more force going on in Iran. They want the current condition to hold, whatever exactly you call it.
It is interesting. The fewer Republicans approve of the status quo than Democrats in this case when it's a president enforcing the status quo. Nevertheless, very interesting. Harriet, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Johnny B.
Kate?
Thank you so much. Joining us right now is Democratic Congressman Seth Moulton of Massachusetts. He's also running for Senate. Congressman, thank you for being here. On those 4 Republicans that voted with Democrats yesterday to move forward with a war powers resolution, President Trump just socialed about it, calling the vote yesterday meaningless, calling the Republicans that voted with Democrats unpatriotic. What does and doesn't this vote represent or do, in your view?
Well, first of all, it's no surprise that the president would have that reaction because he does not care what Congress says and he does not care what the Constitution says. This has been an illegal war from the very beginning, but it's also been a really dumb war. And a lot of Republicans are saying that behind the scenes. A lot of Republicans recognize that we are losing this war, that we are actually giving Iran more leverage. They've never closed the Strait of Hormuz before. And so we've got to cut our losses and get out. And while we can celebrate the 4 Republicans who had the courage to tell that truth publicly with their vote yesterday, let's not forget that 208 Republicans voted to rubber stamp this war. So 98% of the Republicans in the House of Representatives said, hey, we like President Trump's war. We don't mind that it's illegal. We don't mind that it's raising our gas prices. We don't mind that it's giving Iran billions of dollars. We don't mind that our allies in the Middle East have been attacked. We don't mind that 14 Americans are dead. We support this for the president. 98% of the Republicans are with the president on this. That's what we should take away.
Another aspect of this is some Republicans are saying the timing of this vote just is a bad idea. Trump suggests the timing of the vote hurts his ability to negotiate. Pete Sessions was just on and says the same. He thinks the timing of the vote here is bad, especially when it's not likely to actually go through this many steps of actually reigning in the president. Do you see that aspect of it?
Wait a minute. I thought you just told me, Kate, that the president said this vote was meaningless. So now he's saying that it hurts negotiations?
In the same social media, he's saying both can be true at once, is what he is saying.
In his world. In the real world, Americans want this war to end.
Let me ask you about Bill Pulte, Trump's new director of national intelligence. He's facing a lot of questions about whether he has any qualifications to hold the job. In addition, Scott Bessent was asked yesterday about another aspect of his past and his resume, how the Treasury Secretary and Bill Pulte in his job as at the Federal Housing Authority almost got into a fight. Watch this.
Did you actually tell Pulte you were going to punch him in the face?
No, sir. I actually said I was going to kick his ass.
Good. Okay. Good. I share the emotion. Thank you.
And as I said, that was last summer 25, and many teams have fights in the locker room and then go out and win for the team on the field.
It's just an exchange that really requires being played again, but also the same question endures regardless of how long do you think Pulte is going to have this job?
I mean, God knows. His number one qualification seems to be that he created that meme of Trump as Jesus. And I guess that's what makes you qualified to be the director of national intelligence. But the point I would make, Kate, is while that everybody is focused on how historically unqualified this total hack is, it's dangerous. This is not just about putting someone in a position that's not qualified for the position and it looks bad or whatever. This is dangerous for the United States of America. The Director of National Intelligence is a position that was created after 9/11 because the intelligence agencies didn't coordinate well enough to prevent that attack that killed thousands of Americans. Well, we know there are terrorists out there today that still want Americans dead. We know that Iran is trying to assassinate Americans on our home soil because of what we're doing in Iran. We know that Russia is conducting gray zone attacks in Eastern Europe, and they are upset about our support for Ukraine, so they want to see Americans dead. We have a lot of enemies around the globe, and when you put a hack in the position of Director of National Intelligence, it makes every one of us here at home less safe.
You are running for Senate, as I mentioned. Another Democrat running for Senate is running in Maine, Graham Plattner. He has faced controversy over a few things. Over his tattoo, you defended him over that. I saw that. He's also facing controversy over exchanging sexually explicit text messages with multiple women, which his wife flagged to the campaign on her own. When he was just in Washington, though, meeting with Democratic senators, seeming to want to allay concerns about his candidacy, they asked him, what if there is more? And that is a question. What if there is more? Do you think that would then be too much for Graham Plattner to continue?
I mean, we just don't know. We just don't know what more can come out. But I do know this, that he's running against a senator who every single day rubber stamps Trump's agenda. A senator who, just like 98% of the Republican Party, supports this war in Iran that's raising everybody's gas prices, that's getting Americans killed, that's killing innocent people in the Middle East, that's hurting our allies, that's taking our eye off the ball when it comes to deterring and preventing a war with China in Asia. So all of these things that Susan Collins does every single day are bad. And I think voters in Maine are going to have to make a decision that only they can make, weighing those two alternatives.
Part of this conversation gets to the direction of the Democratic Party and where it should head now. Jill Biden was on The View the other day and said that she was asked if she still thought that Joe Biden would have been in a good place to serve as president for another 4 years. She said, not from what I know now, and he is battling cancer now. But age and generational change has become a central focus of your Senate campaign against Senator Ed Markey. What do you make of what Jill Biden is saying now?
I think she's coming to the realization that all the rest of us knew, that there comes a time and a place to pass the torch, to move on. You know, I have a lot of respect for Senator Markey. He served our country for half a century. In fact, he's been in Washington longer than every other member of the House and Senate, except for Chuck Grassley. And we should thank him for that service. But he would be 86 at the end of his next term if he's reelected. And I'm just not sure that the voters of Massachusetts want that. I think there comes a time to pass the torch to the next generation. And what better time than when the Democratic establishment is just not getting it done? I mean, if you honestly are a Democrat today who says, you know, Democrats are knocking it out of the park, you know, we're winning all across the board, we shouldn't change a thing, then vote for the establishment, vote for Chuck Schumer, vote for the status quo. But if you think we should be doing better, if you think it's time for a new generation of Democratic leaders, if you think it's time for us to take the lead on the economy, to show that we are the party of national security, to show that we are the party that will fight Trump and MAGA Republicans every single day and win, then it's time for a new generation of Democrats. And that's why I'm running for Senate.
Congressman Seth Moulton.